So, I want to talk about women in law enforcement. There was a video that was out on YouTube, and there was a bunch of females trying to arrest a male. I can't remember what country. I think it was in England. And they were so physically unfit, inept, totally unqualified. I mean, physically. You know, women are smart. They're definitely smart. There are some smart, intelligent women out there. But I'm 6 foot, 296 pounds. And you're not going to get a 180 pound, 200 pound woman that's going to be able to do anything to me other than pull the trigger. Or OC doesn't really work that well on me. Or tase me. Now, there's been incidents where, you know, women of a smaller stature were forced to draw their service weapon and dispatch the subject because they were physically unfit to meet the demand of a physical confrontation. Whereas if you had a male that was physically fit, and they should be physically fit, he wouldn't have had to draw his weapon to defend himself, unless the suspect drew a blade or another weapon or what have you. But in this case, it was simply based on the size of the suspect that she felt compelled, and her life was in danger, to draw her service weapon, and she got away with it. So, you ended a life simply because you were physically unfit for duty. Anyway, so some of these women got punched in the face. One punch, boom, they laid down and cried. I mean, it was pathetic. You know, I mean, law enforcement in Europe is really a joke. It really is. This liberal mindset has just taken over, and it just turned them into a bunch of sissies. You know, I mean, you have cops out there in England that don't even carry firearms, just a special brand of or unique outfit of the British police carry firearms. The rest of them don't. They're just referees. And then you get a disturbed person pulls a knife and kills the referee. And that's what they are. There's, you know, British police, non-armed British police, or any officer in Europe, they're nothing more than referees, and it's a joke, an absolute joke. You get a guy with a 4-inch blade, and he's going to have a field day until somebody shows up with the appropriate countermeasure. And but anyway, so, you know, even within the United States, I'm sick of seeing, you know, Barney Fifes everywhere. You know, people just who aren't physically fit to do the job. You know, guys that are, you know, 5'11", 160 pounds, just no meat to these guys. It's just, you need to be physically fit. And one of the things that got me started, I was 240 pounds when I got involved in law enforcement. And I did that for about 8 years. And I was a reserve officer. And one of the gentlemen that I worked with that interviewed me and brought me on board was a rather large dude. And so anyway, he got me started in powerlifting. So, but I'd always been into weightlifting, but not powerlifting. And not that I didn't understand it, just I wasn't really all that familiar with it. Anyway, so he got me started on that, and got it carved into my skull that, you know, being bigger, stronger is safer for you and safer for your suspect. And so you want to be able to subdue. You want to be able to subdue people as quickly and pain-free as possible. And one of those ways is to be bigger and stronger than the people that you have to deal with. And, I'd like to see some sort of jiu-jitsu or some sort of martial arts taught in the police academy. They teach you some hands-on stuff, but, it's really not, where it should be, and you see these guys today that have been in law enforcement for 20 years, 25 years. They're physically fat, out of shape. They couldn't run 15 yards to save their life. I've seen guys so winded and physically defeated in a simple hands-on confrontation that, taking their shirt and their vest off just because they got to get some air. And that's just bad. And, we can't have that. We need to have higher standards. I remember back when my dad was a cop, he said that the state troopers had to be a certain size and a certain height. Otherwise, you couldn't be a state trooper. Didn't matter how you scored on your test. If you weren't of a certain physical stature, you weren't going to make it. Sorry. Didn't matter how smart you are. You need to be able to defend yourself and defend defend the community. And it's a proven fact that most of you knuckleheads aren't going to mess with men that are far bigger than they are. And if they do, you want to be able to subdue them quickly, and then in a manner in which they're not going to attempt it again. I've seen some big dudes, way bigger than me, drop guys so fast, and you know what? They never had another ounce of trouble out of that individual. None. When my dad was a cop back in the day, troublemakers, they'd take you outside of town, outside of the city limits, and pardon my French, they would kick your ass, and then bring you back into town, and that was it. That was, you were taught a lesson. And the thing is, when you're dealing with criminals, they're just ignorant people. They only understand strength, and you can only demonstrate that one way. And there's only one way of communication, and sometimes that means there's a lot of expletives thrown out there because that's the only language they understand. If you try to be, prim and proper and truly professional, they take that as meek and weakness, and they'll pounce on you. So if you don't look sharp in uniform, and you're not tucked and pressed and ready to rock and roll, they pick up on that. If you're a fat puss gut, you don't train, you don't shoot, you're going to get your butt kicked. I'm sorry, that's what these guys look for. They look for these fat puss guts, and they'll take advantage of that every time, So I never miss an opportunity to shoot. I love to shoot. I love to lift. It's who I am, and they have a shooting range, on our property, and I don't know. I've fired so many rounds. You fire so many, it's like, why even count? Doesn't matter. But anyway, so, practice makes perfect, obviously, and muscle memory. It's the same thing with being hands-on with individuals, and it's great to learn a martial art, whatever that may be, and whatever floats your boat. But in a lot of cases, just brute force, and just brute strength is just amazing. And you don't see that in women in law enforcement. I've never seen it. I never saw it in 8 years. What I saw was a lot of women that were, pardon my expression, or pardon my language, where they were fat, and they were almost, in some cases, almost as tall as they were wide, and they'd put out a call, felony stop, whatever, and everybody and their brother would run out there, because it's just like, man, she's not gonna be able to handle that on her own. And In some cases, that was absolutely true. You know, I know one female officer. She's not a cop anymore, and oh my gosh, you know, she worked for a township that only had one officer on duty, and I think they had a total of 3, and that included the chief and another officer. And a lot of times, you know, you're on the road by yourself. Most of the time, you were by yourself, and so you were lucky to have the sheriff's department and the state police close by, and local departments that would back you up. And yeah, so I don't think she ever made it very long in law enforcement. You know, she started off as writing parking tickets, and anyway, she was a nice girl, but didn't belong in law enforcement because she was physically short and didn't have the strength to do anything. Anyway, so you know, women don't belong in law enforcement. They don't belong in combat in the military. They don't belong as firemen because they're physically not able to do the job. Mentally, they're super smart. You know, I've met some super intelligent women, but again, when it comes to being physical, they don't have it and they shouldn't be there. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.